So we're actually going to jump into Ultra and we're going to be creating a query here. Again, I have another link here for you that you can use. This link here will allow you to be able to create a query template. And this query template is, again, for our original question is, give me everybody that has purchased a sales order item today. You can reach this at socialgoodsoftware.com/query template. And this will give you kind of a query example here that you can follow. And this query example is the one we're going to be using to create the query today. So I'm going to drag this guy over here and we're going to go ahead and get started. So step number one is to go inside of Ultra and actually start creating this query. So we're going to head over to Ultra. We're going to go to Analysis. We're going to go to Information Library. We're going to go add an ad hoc query. And then here we're going to go ahead and add a sales order query and we're going to click on OK. All right, so now that we have added in that sales query, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to look at this query example, and this query example is simply outputting the fields that we need for our email. So here's our email. Our email needs a first name. Here's first name. Our email needs an email address. Our email needs a lookup ID. Here's the lookup ID. Our email needs a transaction date. Here's the transaction date, and so on. So our email already has a lot of this information, and this is what this query is saying. It's just we're showing this information in the email, so we need to query for this information. So I included a couple screenshots here for you that already have the tree structure predefined for you, so you don't have to completely start from scratch. But we're going to head over to constituent and we're going to grab their first name, so constituent, and then we're going to grab their first name here, first name. Give it a lookup ID, and then we're going to grab their email address. So this is email address, and then we're going to grab their lookup ID, sales order, and this is going to be lookup ID, and we're going to grab the transaction date, which is also here, and we're also going to grab the start date, start time, and end time. So this is sales order item, sales order item ticket, sales item ticket program events. And like I said before, start date, start time, end time. And then we're going to grab the amount. Here's the amount. And we're going to say sales order record. And the sales order record is important because this is how we're able to attach a copy of this email back into Ultra. Okay, so looks like we have that information here. And if we go back to our question, which is saying, give me all the sales orders that were processed today in order for us to send the email. And this is where kind of part one comes in, where we have to restrict this query. So let me see if I can make this a little bit larger for you. And we're going to head over into constituent, and we're going to make sure this is an actual individual. So is individual equal to yes. And then sales order item. The status of the order is active, so sales order item ticket status is equal to active. And then we're going to say transaction date is today, because remember, we want to go ahead and grab all the orders that have been processed today. And then we're going to say today. And then we want to go ahead and grab the next item here, which is note is blank. And if we look up here, notes is blank is also on the restriction side. And what that says is just simply saying that our notes are blank, so this transaction order does not have any notes. And the notes are simply a email that gets sent out, gets attached to the sales order as a note. So we're just saying, give me all the transactions for today that we have not sent an email to. That's all that means. And then we're going to go ahead and restrict this to museum admission. So we're going to go sales order item, ticket, program events, name. And then here we want to say museum admission. And this museum admission here is just simply saying, only give me the people that have purchased a museum admission, not everyone. So this might be different for your organization. So whatever program name you're querying for, just make sure you adjust that to fit your organization. It might not be museum admission. It might be just a different program name. So just check with guest services, or just go to the web tab and look at the programs you guys have. But this might be different for your organization. This is just simply an example. And then finally, we want to say refund status is equal to 0. And this just means we do not want to email anyone that has asked for a refund. And typically people don't ask for a refund right away, but this is just something nice to include there, just in case if somebody buys and cancels right away, then we'll catch any of those emails there. Okay, so if you go to preview here, you'll see nothing, just because right now we don't have any transactions that have happened today. But this is pretty much the query that we're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and name this query now, and then I'm going to call this one ticket sold today, like this. And then you want to make sure you uncheck suppress duplicate rows, and that's really important as we work towards having as many of the output fields as we want. If there is any duplicate rows, the application, the email designer will catch those and merge them for you. So just make sure you uncheck that. And then you click Save and Close. And that will give you the email for the email query here for tickets sold today. So that's all there is to this query.